Welcome to Seasoned Conversations, where experience meets insight and life's journey reveals its deepest wisdom. I'm your host, Kenneth Braswell, and here we share authentic stories of reinvention, purpose, and fulfillment from the seasoned paths we walk. Together, we'll explore how to age boldly, live intentionally, and embrace our second act with clarity and confidence. So pull up a chair. There's always room at the table for Seasoned Conversations.
Welcome back to another episode of Seasoned Conversations. I'm your co-host, Kenneth Braswell. Along my side is my lovely wife, Tracy Braswell. And we are here for Forever Starts Today. And so we're talking to you from the perspective of seasoned individuals in a seasoned couple in a seasoned time. And so if you're not seasoned yet, you might want to get your ear in here. It's going to help you out. Trust me. Mm-hmm. And if you are seasoned, you might still get a little something. And if you do get something, make sure you hit the comments. Make sure you kind of talk about what we're talking about. Add your perspective to the conversation so we can continue to keep this dialogue moving along. But today, the last couple of times my wife and I have had conversations with you, it has been around relationship and marriage. This time we're talking about the other M, money. What say you?
I think I'll start by saying we're still talking about relationship.
Okay.
But now we're talking about relationships as it relates to money.
Okay.
Right. So what's your relationship with money? And then how does the marriage function as it relates to money? Right. So when couples come together, everyone has their own backstory, right? Their own upbringing. Mine was poor, right? So the cool thing is God gave me great perspective just from experience growing up in my childhood. So I experienced welfare. Mm. I also was able to experience, and that was with my birth mom and dad. Also had an opportunity to experience three really amazing entrepreneur aunts who owned businesses, thriving businesses. Also held it down working for the state of New One really showing that like you could be successful. They own property. All three of them own property. One aunt had 2 brownstones. Mm-hmm. The other aunt owned a co-op, and the third aunt owned a home in New Jersey. So really got to see what like successful women in business could produce. And then during my time of when I had to go into foster care, I was able to see a family, middle-class family, doing well. Dad built the house with his own 2 hands. Mom didn't have to work unless she wanted to. Mm-hmm. And so, I've kind of had the best of both worlds, the Harlem and the Hamptons, right? And that shaped how I looked at money. So one of my first foundational memories was saying I'd never want to be on welfare. Mm. Right. And so, and I was able to do that until I had Amber. Mm-hmm. And then I did that for when I tell you that was the quickest of seasons. Because I was like, listen, don't be silly. Go and get what you got to get and then get out of there. Mm-hmm. Right. So I probably did that for like, I had food stamps for maybe about 3 months. Mm-hmm. And then probably for about a year, maybe 2, I had assistance for childcare.
Okay.
And I also received help for my first apartment that I had to get outside of my family. Mm-hmm. But then that was it. I was like, we're not going to do that, right? Mm-hmm. That just wasn't my thing because I remember having to stand in welfare lines, getting government cheese and peanut butter and jelly, and so I didn't want any part of that. Mm-hmm. Fast forward though, what I was also taught about money was that you can always get more.
Right.
Right. And so the lesson that I was taught growing up was, first of all, you had to look good. So spend money on how you looked, right? 'Cause that was important. And then, but save for a rainy day was literally the only verbal lesson that I was given. It was the only verbal lesson that I was given about money. And so I was taken to the bank to open up a savings account. Meanwhile, I was working and giving my mom, my foster mom, I was giving her my monthly check that I get because I was of age where I could start buying my own toiletries. And first of all, it was $50. Like, what is that?
Right.
Right. But that was literally the only lesson that I had been taught. The biggest lesson that I learned was a life lesson, which was when I went into college and I was greeted by folks who wanted to give me a credit card. And I took them all.
Sears,
All.
JCPenney.
All.
Seemed like Sears and JCPenney hunted you down.
Oh, Sears. Sears probably still looking for me, if we're just being honest. I got sick of Sears. I was like, I can't.
It's like, what am I getting here anyway,
like,
except
hey,
for
listen,
a washing machine?
Even the Bible forgives debt after 7 years, Sears. Let it go.
Move on.
Right. But yeah, I got them all. I got the store cards. I got the Visa, the Master. I got an American Express.
Yeah.
And whoo, did
Discover.
I learn?
Remember Discover.
Yeah. And I learned quickly about money. And so as a result of that, that shaped me going forward and how I never, ever wanted to be in that situation again. And it really guided me through managing money, but it also sparked that interest in wanting to teach other people about money because I didn't learn anything about money growing up other than it was scarce when I was younger. You could be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know. I wasn't connecting the dots with entrepreneurship and like ownership of land and property, right? And then like, hey, I feel like we probably live paycheck to paycheck. Because when Dad passed away, Mom was struggling to pay bills, right? And so then that, got me to just thinking about like how many more people grew up not knowing about money in their families, because that was the other thing. You didn't talk about money with your parents, right? Not like how, you and I can have a conversation with the boys and the girls and, we could have those conversations. You didn't talk about money back then. Right. Yeah. So not as a child, you stay in your place. So I'm curious for you, what were some of the, and of course I'm asking you this because I know, but I want the audience to know what impacted how you viewed money and how you looked at money from the early stages, not now, but like early on. What was your experience with money?
Well, you started out this conversation talking about relationship with money. Like my relationship with money was hostile, adversarial, conflictual, right? All of those things. Because like you, I was never taught about money. Right. The only thing I knew about money is we didn't have a lot of it, right? And that my mother worked hard for it. And I don't know exactly how much she was working hard for. It seems like she was just working hard just to survive, right? Not to live. And so for us growing up, I think the other nuance is that my sister and brother was 7 to 8 years younger than I was. So we weren't spending money on the same things. And so when I was 14, they were still 7. And when I wanted to go to the skating ring or go to the $2 movie on 42nd Street or or yelling up at the window, "Mama, throw down some money, the ice cream man is coming." Like, or I needed a pair of sneakers. And when she had it, I got it. I didn't get the name brands. I didn't get all of those kinds of things. My auntie, I remember she there was these pants in New York City called gabardines. And everybody had gabardines. Everybody went to Delancey Street to get their gabardines, and we didn't have, and my aunt decided she was going to make me a pair
dear God.
of gabardines.
So you had a Theo experience.
Yes.
Remember when
I related to that episode, and she was
who's the name
adamant.
of that shirt? Do you remember?
I don't remember the name of the shirt.
I don't either.
But they now purchase those shirts for a whole lot of money. People buy those shirts for a whole lot of money. I wish I could find my gabardines so I could sell them again. But my aunt was adamant about me wearing those pants to school. Like,
Okay.
I was wearing those, and I wore those pants to school. It was probably the most humiliating day of my life, but I never came back and told her that, they clowned me the whole day about it. But it was immediate, because you know how kids are. Kids don't have a filter, when they see
So wait,
something.
were they real or fake?
No, they were fake. She made them.
Oh.
Because remember, they had the gabardines with the double stitch and the single stitch, and then they had them with the little pleat and another color in them.
Yeah.
And my aunt just got a pair of pants, and she got the sewing machine out, and she just sewed the stripe down. So it wasn't straight all the way down. It was crooked a little bit, and then she was trying to fix it and was making it work. It was a mess. And if I'm not mistaken, those pants were green on top of that. And I hated the color. I still hate the color green today, except for money. So my mother never taught me about things like allowance. Like, I didn't know anything about allowance. I didn't know anything about savings. I didn't have any aspirations in life, to your point about future, about going to college. Like, college wasn't part of our narrative. In New York City, it was graduate from high school, get a civil servant job or a factory job, work until you retire, and then you live in your apartment for the rest of your life until you're done. Right. Like, cars, houses, businesses, hustles we knew, but we didn't know structural businesses and entrepreneurship. And then lastly, when I finally went into the military doubled down on me on that.
Yeah.
Because when I got into the military, I did not know anything about money, and they were paying for everything. Food, shelter, health insurance, recreation, everything. I didn't have to pay for everything. When I got my check on the 30th of the month, it was blown in 5 days because I didn't know what to do, buying stereo equipment, buying Jim Beam, and buying just crazy stuff. And it wasn't just me. It was all of my friends. Everybody was, by the 5th of the month, everybody was broke. It took me a long time to kind of figure out a little something from a good friend that lived in Washington, D.C., who kind of said, yo, dude, you don't even drink. Like, you buy liquor for your friends to drink.
Right.
Like, how much stereo equipment do you need? Like, I walk into your room, you got speakers towering up to the center, to the ceiling, got 2 reel-to-reels, you got 2 turns, because I was a DJ too, so I got everything. And he was like, yo, save your money. And I said, why? He says, because everybody around here going to be broke by the 5th. And for every dollar, I get 2.
What does that mean?
For every dollar somebody borrows from me, they have to pay me back 2.
Oh, okay.
If you borrow 100, I get back 200. He says, I literally almost double my salary every month. Because fools don't know how to stop paying their money.
Did you do it?
Towards the end of my time in Germany, I got it. And I was like, and he had left. And so there was nobody else. So I always had like money, because I stopped spending. I sent all my stuff home. I had stopped. I didn't know that was loan sharking.
Very much so. Very much so.
But in the military, that was survival.
Right.
And so, but out in here, the double downing on it, that I still wasn't learning, even though I knew how to start to make money, is when I got home. By the time I got home, I was married and had a daughter, and now I got to pay rent, and now I got to buy food, and now I got to have a car, and now I got to have insurance, and now there's all of these expenses that I'd never had before, and now I'm looking at my check.
But you did have them.
I had them. I just had to.
But you didn't have to physically take care of the expenses.
And so now I got to take care of this stuff, and I don't know how to budget my money. I don't know how to not, go to a restaurant because I want to go to a restaurant knowing that, dude, like when you look at your checks and balances, you really don't have $50 a month to spend going out.
Question. Did you work in high school at all?
Not at all. I had one job. I had 2 jobs in high school. One of them I quit in a day. The other one I quit in a week.
Wow.
And the one that I quit in a day was at Burger King. They had opened up a Burger King in Columbus Circle. It was the biggest Burger King in the city. It was ridiculous. It was, at the time, it was by the convention center up on 72nd and 72nd Street. And went in, got the job. I'm cooking burgers, and the crowd is dying down. And the manager comes to me and says, I need you to go out there and mop the floor. And I'm like, what? He's like, go mop the floor. I'm like, nah, that's not what I was hired for. I cooked the burgers. He's like, you do whatever I tell you to do. I was like, I'm not mopping the floor. I do the burgers. And he was like, well, you going to do the burgers or you're not going to work here anymore. And I was like, you ain't even got to worry about me because I quit. And I left. And then the other job, the same thing. He had me, I was on the cashier. And then one day he wanted me to like stock things up on the shelves. And I was like, nah, I'm the cashier, dude. I don't stock shelves. And he's like, yeah, you do. You do everything. I was like, no, I do cash. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. Give me my 3 days of check worth of money. I'm out of here. But back then they paid you in cash because they were paying you under the table. So that was my relationship with money. And so it took me a long time to figure it out. I'm talking a long time. It took me into my late 30s, 40s before I really began to understand money.
Yeah. I remember one of the first times that we had a discussion about money. And I think it was around, and you refresh my memory if I don't have it right, but I remember us having a conversation because we had one account and you had just started Fathers Incorporated. And I went to go pay a bill. And the bill money was not there.
Why?
Because you were, I forget what it was that you were doing.
Traveling up and down from Albany to New York like I was going across the street.
Yeah. And so I remember us having that conversation because I had a job as a kid. Right. I had lied about my age so I could start working early. So I did have a earlier relationship with money in terms of money management. Right. And so I knew how to save.
Right.
And living with my aunt that owned the 2 brownstones, I stayed in the one next door to her. And her thing to me always was, her main thing to me when she allowed me to move into the apartment that she owned was you always make sure you have a roof over your head. That comes first before anything else. And so, and she wasn't charging me a ton of money, but that stuck in me. And so I remember that day when I went in to go pay like the rent and we didn't have all of the money. And I was like, that freaked me all the way out. So I guess for you, what was happening for you in that moment when we were having that conversation? And I'm like, because I remember I was kind of getting on you about that. Like, that shook me.
Well, it's kind of like when you do something in life and you don't know it's wrong. Somebody is telling you that is wrong. It's registering that is wrong, but you don't know why you did it.
Right.
Like, I'm just doing what I've always done. And now what she's telling me is what you're doing, you can't do anymore. But she's also not explaining to me why I can't do it anymore. I've lived my life just spending. like not paying attention to the bottom line, like I always had in my head. I think I have an account. I think I have $25 in my account. I think I have blah, blah, blah. And, you know, back then you could do some things as a single person, right? That you couldn't do as a married person.
Right.
And so if I didn't have any money, I figure out how to get enough money to get me to the end of the month. I also did not care about the third invoice, the fourth invoice,
Right.
Because you just moved on to another space. I also figured out how to float a check, right, to get me to something else.
Yeah.
And then I had a skill set, right? I was a DJ. I can always like do something to make up money to pay a bill that I had to pay for. But up until I really didn't have a joint obligation. I had an obligation because I had a child. But my child was fairly new when we met. She was like 2 years old when we met, 2.5 years old when we met. And so I didn't have, no, she was a little older than that. She's more like 5.
I think 4.
Yeah, 4 or 5. So I had that obligation. But that obligation with me was kind of different with her and her mom because I wasn't on traditional child support.
Right.
I just we took care of what we needed to take care of.
Right.
Thank God I had that kind of woman in my life at the time, a mother of my child in my life, because life could have been a whole lot different, you know, at that time.
Yeah.
But, you know, we took care of our child. And so, and I didn't have to worry about anything other than her. But then when you came along, not only did you come along, but Amber came along, right? And now I got like 4 people in my life, you know, or 3 people in my life that I have to deal with. And I'm not making enough money. But now I'm beginning to work around more people who are more successful, and I'm trying to figure out how did they do it, right? And now I'm paying attention, like to how they make money, and I'm looking at my salary. I wrote about this in my book. It's Too Seasoned to Care. I think I wrote about it. If I didn't write about it in this book, I definitely wrote about it in my no, I did write about it in Too Seasoned to Care, where I talked about my goal for making money when I came back from the military. And I wrote, I think I still have the assignment that I had at this like school that I had gone to learn how to type. And they were talking about your goals. And I said, I just want to make $10,000 for every decade of my life, which was at 20, I want to be making 20,000. At 30, I want to be making 30,000. At 40, I want to be making 40,000. And I thought by 50, if I was making 50,000, that I'm good.
Yep. I've heard that before.
50,000 don't go, you broke.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because your theming in the Too Seasoned to Care book really focuses on when you started to care what people thought about you. Tie that into your relationship with money and how you thought people were viewing you.
You know, I think it was more me looking at myself than other people looking at me, right? Because we have a way of masking ourselves when you're around people, which is probably the worst thing you can do because it's trying to look like the Joneses when you can't be the Joneses. And so, yeah, I'm going to like wear a different kind of suit. I want to drive a particular kind of car. Like those type of things were important to me. When I got a wife, or before you were my wife, but you was my girlfriend, I wanted to take you out and have a nice dinner, right? And I wanted to look sharp when you saw me, and I wanted my house to look a certain way. I think one of the most painful moments for me in our early relationship, and you probably have no idea, and that was I had a car repoed.
I remember that.
And I was like,
we had literally just started dating.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, what is she going to think of me? Like, I can't even keep my car.
Yep.
Like that was crushing to me
Yeah.
to have my car repoed.
Yeah. Because also at the same time, you also had a business
Right. That was crashing.
that had just, that you just had to close that business down,
Right.
and then you had the car repoed.
Right.
And so, when we first met, you were going through.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a hot mess, as they would say.
Yeah. The saving grace was that God told me that you were my husband. And I think for you, I knew what you could do.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't concerned about what had not worked out,
Mm-hmm.
because I knew that you had the potential, like you had vision,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's really important for me, right? So my part of my relationship with money is security. Right, that's a need that I have as it relates to money, because we've had lights out before,
Right.
right? Because we've had cars repoed even together,
Right.
right? We've gotten notices on the door from the landlord saying, "Hey, pay up or we got to put you out."
Cindy, remember her?
Yep. That's exactly who I was thinking of. And she was gracious. But, at some point it was like, hey, listen, guys, we got to do something here. Right. And so that I think is that is my thing as it relates to money, like security. Right. I just need to be secure that the lights aren't going to be turned off.
Right.
I need to be secure that the heat will be on.
Right.
Right. Because I've experienced that too as a growing up, coming home and the heat is off. Right. And Dad, much like you just said, like he had ways of making money.
Right.
Right. So it was like we knew that the lights were going to come back on just because of the nature of the work that he did.
Right.
We knew they weren't going to stay off.
Right.
But is the fact that you come home and they're not on.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if you used to, when we were in Albany, my apartment had a bell on the door, and the bell had a light in it.
So when you came home and you didn't see that light on, you knew.
I knew my power was out. It was like,
Yeah.
the power is out in my house.
Yep.
And then, borrowing money was just humiliating.
Yeah.
Like $50 here, $100 here. Like I remember this was right before you and I started dating. I had to ask someone for $1,000. And I thought, there is no freaking way. I don't have anybody in my circle.
I remember us having that conversation because actually we were together, because it was one of those instances where like the lights were out.
Right.
Or something happened and we needed money, or the car payment was due. That could have been it.
I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
But I know that he gave it to me.
Yep.
And I think that changed my psyche about.
I know what it was.
What was it?
Our wedding.
Was it? Yeah.
It was our wedding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because we were this close. We were so close, but just those last minute. Because remember, I almost didn't have a wedding gown.
I know. That still pains me today. I still think about that. I don't know how to rectify that, but I still think
That doesn't
about
need to
that.
be rectified.
Just something that I think about.
First of all, shout out to Shaniva if she ever tunes in, and Toya, because both of them were both willing to lend me their dresses.
Fine.
And both dresses were absolutely gorgeous. And like I'm so thankful to have people that were in my life that were willing to do that. So.
Yeah, but the thing about it is they just don't, when you're going through that, they don't feel like progressive stepping stones.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm going to be stuck here forever.
Yeah.
Because you're in the moment, and when you can't see light at the end of the tunnel,
Right.
it's very, very difficult. on top of that, you just don't know where it's coming from. And you don't know how bad it can get or how desperate you will become
Right.
to get money.
Yeah.
Like, I never wanted to be in that place. I don't think I would have ever been in that place. But I'm sure many people who have ended up in that place said to themselves, I will never be in this place. And I just never wanted that to be me. And I certainly wasn't going to allow it, to be us. But I think it took me a minute to kind of understand my calling, right? And then once I knew what my calling was, it was like, all right, God, like, how is this going to, like, right that ship, right? What is that going to look like?
Yeah.
And, we were together when I was in those in-between jobs. And they just weren't panning out whatsoever at all. And when I got the offer to the state job, that was the most money I've ever made in my life. When he told me how much I was going to make, I did not think he was telling me the truth. I thought he was messing with me. I was like, there's no freaking way you're paying me this amount of money to do this work.
Yep.
This is what God told me to do, and I'm here doing this at a real, and the positioning of it, right? It wasn't an entry-level position. It was, you're going to run this program for the entire state.
Yeah.
Because you're the only one that I know that can do this. And so when I looked at that salary, I was like, whoa, like, I don't have to worry about a lot of different things now. Do you remember the night we talking about repo? Because we had another car that they were trying to repo. They actually did end up repoing that car. Remember the night we was out running the repo, man? You remember that night? We was in the BMW. I had a little BMW, 320 whatever.
Yeah.
And we was coming home, and we saw the repo man was behind me. And I took off.
Yes.
And he took off after me.
Yes.
And I skirted around and did some little dipping, and lost him.
Yep.
And then we went and we parked the car over where we used to live.
Yeah.
And walked back over. In my mind's eye, that was that desperation point that I said I never wanted to.
I was just about to ask you, what was your defining moment?
That was it.
That was it.
Like, dude, you are literally not only putting yourself in freaking danger, but your wife is in the car. It was kind of, in the moment, comical.
It was. It definitely was.
But when I stepped back and looked at it, I'm like, dude, this is... And so it wasn't like we had a brand new BMW. It was a used BMW. It was nice.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all that.
Right.
But the fact that I was running from a repo guy again, like, in my mind's eye, why are you doing this?
Right.
Like, you need to, like, figure out how. But I think it was all part of God's plan to get me focused on, like, what is it you're doing, and understand your worth. And allow this person in your life who is the money person to manage your money, and stop trying to manage it in your mind. Right?
Yeah.
And so I had these things I felt like I needed to have in order for us to look the way we looked when we went to church.
Right.
I wanted to pull up to church and have my wife and son get out the car in a BMW. And I wanted to like, drive to my house. Because that first house we had, not the one on Bunker, but the one on, oh my goodness. We talked about this house the other day because I actually had forgotten about it. Not the one that we left, not on Console. Bunker.
But it was Bunker.
Not Bunker.
It was Bunker. Bunker was the first one. Console was the next one.
Little Bunker, Console.
Yep.
Because Bunker was like, it was nice.
Yeah.
2-car garage. I opened up the garage when I came in. It was nice. It was new. It was spacious.
Yeah.
I was starting to feel like I'm finally like where I needed to be.
Yeah. And then we had to downgrade.
But who came to the rescue for us? Cindy.
Yes, she did. She did.
Said, listen, I like you all. Got something else for you.
Yep.
And literally it's across the street.
Right up the street. Literally right up the street. Not as new, but it
Right.
was just as spacious.
Right.
And it was still really good, and we saved money.
Right.
That was the key thing.
Had a backyard.
Yep.
KJ loved it. Mom was there with us for a while.
Yep.
And Zinga had her own room. Amber had hers up until she left, because you and I were trying to figure out, where did KJ sleep.
Oh, KJ was definitely in our room. We had a full house. So if you remember, we had the full size bunk beds, which I didn't even know that they made back then. When I came across it, I was like, this is the solution to the problem. Because remember,
Right.
we were down one bedroom when we moved.
Okay.
Right? So we had Siobhan and Andrew, Amber and Nzinga. KJ was with us, and Mom had her own room.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Because initially, that room that Mom was in was going to be in Zinga's room.
Yes.
And then we had to move Mom in because that was a sudden decision.
Right.
Right. And so then it was like, all right, and Zinga's not here every night. So, and she loved being in the room with it because that's most of the times where she was staying anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was your defining moment. My defining moment was a little bit earlier, before you and I had started dating. And that was, I was getting phone calls at work from debt collectors. And I didn't like that.
Wow.
I hated that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I remember just saying to myself, like, one day, like, I was sick of myself. It was all those credit cards. Like, I graduated from college with virtually no college debt. I think I owed like SUNY like maybe $3,000. But the credit card debt is what took me over the top. And so my defining moment was just having this epiphany one day. Like, I was just sick of avoiding opening mail.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you saw it. It's like third notice. Be like, yep, we're not opening that one.
Right. Yeah.
Can't answer your phone, or you got to disguise your voice.
Right.
She doesn't live here.
Right.
Right. So, and then the embarrassment of getting a phone call at work and having your manager take the call and be like, they didn't say that, they just said they were so-and-so. They wouldn't tell me what they were calling about or where from. And me finally like having to say like, hey, don't call my job again.
Right. Yeah.
Right. If you want to get paid, don't call my job again. Yeah. And then, at that time, Amber was like two or 3 years old. Right. And me thinking, this is not what I want for her. Right. To be stressed about money. Right. My faith says that, I shouldn't be worried. I shouldn't be fearful. But here I am fearful about opening up, mail, answering phone calls. And so I remember the one thing that I decided to be intentional about was to get out of debt. And so in that moment, I went to Dollar Tree because it was really like, if I wanted to shop, that was like, go to Dollar Tree because at least you're not going to, when they was really Dollar Tree.
Right.
Now they're like $1.25 and $5.
Right.
So, but anyway, I got some index cards and I just wrote debt free on all of them. And I put them all over the house, refrigerator, cabinet door, fireplace mantle, television, bathroom, dresser. I even put one in my car. Right. And within a year, I had paid off all of those credit card debts. And that was like a real defining moment for me, that I could change the trajectory of where I was headed with my finances. Is there anything that you did, something that you made a decision like it stops here? And what did you do in that moment so that you didn't repeat continue the pattern?
I don't know if I ever had a moment that I had to stop doing this. I had moments of I need to start doing this.
Right.
It was nothing that I had to stop. It was something that I needed to start. And that start was I need to make more money. If I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and I'm going to keep having the appetite for the things that I have an appetite for, and I keep having an expectation for the things that I have an expectation for, I need to make more money.
Right.
And so I don't think I do have a stop now, but I don't think I had a stop as I was moving towards that start. And the stop now is that I will never, ever be broke again. I will never have to ask anybody for anything again. That's a deal breaker for me. It cannot happen. I don't know if you watched it. Kevin Hart had a special, and I can't remember the name of it. I got to remember the name of his special. He did this special. And in it, he talked about his motivation for working so hard, like why he works so hard to do what he does and why he works harder than most people. And he says that he just remembers what he felt like when he was broke. And he never, ever wants to go back there again. And so so as a result of that, he feels like he never has enough. That's how I feel. I feel like I never have enough. Like, and it's not that I don't have enough because I want more. In my mind's eye, I just never have enough. Like, I look at our bank account sometimes, the numbers in our bank account, and I'm like, man, I remember when the numbers weren't like that. I mean, we ain't by no means in the clear.
Right.
But if something happens, it won't be so devastating. It won't be so devastated that we can't get over it and recover. And then there's always things in front of us, right? And I think part of what has allowed me to do that, and you asked, what did I stop doing and what did I start doing? I think our business helped me think about money differently. The failed organizations that I was in, and then the creation of my own. And knowing that I never wanted Fathers Incorporated to be in a space that Kenneth Braswell was in, right? And so my don't is that Fathers Incorporated will end. So for Fathers Incorporated, that same thing holds true for me. My bank account is never going to be big enough for me. And not because I want to do more. It is because this thing can never, ever fail, right? This thing cannot fail. But at the same time, I still have aspirations. I don't know if I ever told you this. My mother, when she worked for Citibank out in New Hyde Park in Long Island, one time I was out there for something. I can't remember. She had me come out to her job, and this Oriental guy was there. And he read my palm. And he wrote everything. He read my palm, and then he wrote all this stuff down on a brown paper bag. And I had that brown paper bag for a long time. I don't know what happened to that brown paper bag. But I do remember two things out of all the things that he said that was on that brown paper bag. And two of them, and both of them have come true. And I'm not saying they came true because he read them. They just came true. And he said, the first thing was, I was going to lose a parent early in my life. And that happened with my biological father. It happened. And he said, the second thing is you're going to be financially in life, you're going to be comfortable. You're never going to have an overabundance, but you're always going to be comfortable to your standard. Yeah, you could say that to a lot of people and it comes out. But in my mind's eye, it is, I'm not there yet. I'm not comfortable to my standard. So that one hasn't really come true for me. Most people say, yeah, but you're coming. I'm like, no, but I know why I'm not comfortable. Because my aspirations are higher now than they were back then. Mm-hmm. So for back then, yeah, I'm really comfortable. But for now, like I'm looking at, we talk about empty nest. I don't want our existence as empty nesters to just be sitting around the house looking at each other. We have the world to explore, and there's no boundary in my mind. Any place on the planet I can go because I've been to most places on the planet that I never thought I was going to be. Mm-hmm. I was in Mongolia. Mongolia is on the other side of the earth. Me and Patrick laughed about that. I said that to him when we got off the plane. I said, do you realize we're on the other side of the earth? He was like, why would you say it like that? I'm like, because literally we are. If you look at a globe and you look at Mongolia, we're on the opposite side of the earth. I was like, in my mind, I have never thought about in my mind that I would ever travel that far. Because I had this goal that I wanted to fly around the world. I wanted to go, literally I wanted to go around the world, but never even thought that I could be on the other side of the earth right now. So my mind right now is there are things and places that I want to be and places I want to go that are well within my ability to be able to be prepared to do that, but I'm not there yet because we still have an assignment, and I know that. And so I'm just trying to figure out from God, when is this assignment going to slow down so I can begin to enjoy the fruits of the things that you've prepared for me? And money is one of those things.
Yeah, I actually want to circle back to the palm reader.
Okay.
I wasn't going to let that go.
Yeah.
Because there's spiritual implications.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I knew this guy, actually dated him for a little bit. And I don't remember if it was him. I think his mom told me this story. So they were in church and they had someone prophesy over him. And the prophetic word that he received was that he would be like a sign, a street sign, an arrow, pointing people in a direction in which they should go. But he wouldn't be able to move from that spot. Like he's planted as a sign. And so when his mom shared that with me, I said, did you rebuke that? And she says, no. She goes, that was the word. And I said, no, that's a curse. Because why would he be leading others to Christ, but then he's going to stay stuck?
Right.
And so I said, no, that wasn't a prophetic word. That was a curse. And so when I hear you say that this palm reader is saying you'll be comfortable, what I heard was you won't have abundance. Right? And that goes directly against what I believe that God has for us. Right? And so I'm wondering, and I don't want to jump too far ahead because I've been working on some financial lessons. One of the things is limiting beliefs. And when you said that to me, that sounded like he planted a limiting belief inside of you, which might be the reason why you're not in a space where you're like, I have enough, I'm good, or I'm enjoying it, right? Or even maybe subconsciously it's creating a block as to why you're not getting ahead more financially like you want to. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because I just think that, people speaking into us has spiritual implications as well as psychological.
Yeah.
And so I was just thinking about that when you said that. Like, to me, that didn't sound like the blessing. That's to me that was kind of a curse, because Jesus said, "I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly." Right. So what are we putting a limitation on comfort for?
Yeah.
Right. It's
Well,
like you're going to be comfortable,
Yeah.
but that's, but that I heard the limitation.
Yeah. No, I don't hear the limitation. First of all, that's 50 years ago. And so, and second, I have aspirations for more than comfort.
Yeah.
And so that's not, I just remember,
Yeah.
when you're talking about money, I just remember him saying that to me, because I have also said recently that I have a thirst right now to be able to say, when I made my first million,
Right.
I know what I need to do to get there.
Yeah.
And I'm focused on getting there. All of this season stuff that I'm doing is to help folks, but it is also a vehicle that's going to allow me to be able to do that very soon, and not just one, but a multiplicity of times, because I've seen and I'm watching people who started where I started who are doing it.
Yeah.
Now, we've had this conversation. Our good friend Ronnie and Lamar, I love them. They are so inspirational and inspiring to me. I remember when they came to our office when we came to Atlanta. When we first came to Atlanta, they came to our office and we had this whole conversation about how we did what we did, and they were just beginning their march. When I decided to become a part of TSP, him and I had this conversation about what tier I was going to be on. And I said I wanted to be at the mastermind tier. And he says, why? And I said, because I haven't made like the 7 digits up that the other tier was on. And he's like, what are you talking about? And
Right.
he said, and I said, I haven't. And he says, your budget is like what? And I was like, yeah. He says, how can you? I was like, I'm talking about my personal account. I'm not talking about my business account.
Right.
For a for-profit, that business account equals my personal account. For a not-for-profit, it doesn't. And so, yeah, for the last 15 years, we've garnered for our organization close to $80 million in contracts.
Yep.
But that don't transfer to Kenneth and Tracy Braswell's personal account.
Right.
So I know I can do it. I just had chosen to go another way. Now I have to use these powers for myself, right? Because now that I've done, and God has been really blessing in that space, my prayer to him now is, I need for you to be evenly or overly blessing in my personal space. And that's where I'm trying to get. And I'm in this season space at the same time, thinking that I don't have that much time to get there.
There is that. I was listening to a video not too long ago, and I can't remember who it was that was, that's the seasoned menopausal mind. Got both things happening. But the person that was speaking might have been Myron Golden. Was saying how all of these highly successful business people didn't get started until they were 50, 60, 70 years old. Right. And so he was rattling off like KFC, just all of these folks that were further along in life that their names are like household names now.
Right.
Right. And they got started much later. They went through rejections. They went through the ups and downs. They went through the failed businesses. And then ultimately landing on success. I think McDonald's was on that list as well. So I guess for our audience, speak to being in the seasoned space, and most people are ramping down, right? They're looking at it's time for me to retire, and but I'm hearing you say like I'm trying to ramp up because I still have things I want to accomplish.
Right.
So talk to the people about that and what that looks like.
It is as a result of my prayer. I know they always say, be careful what you pray for, or be careful what you ask for. And my daily prayer is literally, God, have usefulness for me.
Right. Yeah.
And it is never let me wake up without you having a use for me, because I know that if you don't have a use for me, there's no need for my existence.
Right.
Right. And as I look at my to-do list, and so there's this thing in the Bible that talks about fresh manna every day.
Yep.
Right. And that you can't live on the old stuff. Give me some new stuff. I actually look at my to-do list in that way. Like, as much as I get it down, it comes back up. As much as I get it down, it comes back up. And in my mind's eye, that's God saying to me, I'm going to keep you useful. And you're never going to I am never going to put more on your plate than you are capable of doing. And so one of the indicators that I know I'm in that space right now is, and I literally just had someone say this to me today, the guy who cleans up the office came in, and he comes in and he always stops and talks to me about what you're up to. And I was telling him about the Million Fathers March, and he was like, what is that? So I was pulling up pictures on my computer, and I said, come over to the computer, and I'm showing this to him. He was like, you do all of that? And I was like, yeah, that happens out of our office. And I'm showing him the pictures of like hundreds and hundreds of fathers in schools across the country, like marching. I got all these pictures. And he said, when do you have time to do all you do? And I said, I don't think about it. Because if I start thinking about time, to your point, I'm putting a limit on myself.
Right.
God wouldn't give it to me if he didn't know I had enough time to do it.
Right.
And so as long as he keeps giving me, I know that he is continuing to say, you got time. That carnal piece of me is kind of like, I'm listening to my cranky knees, and I'm listening to my aches and pains. But he's also saying to me, in a strange way, when I think about my teeth reconstruction and all of that stuff, if you don't get yourself in shape, I'll put you in shape.
He will. He does have a tendency to do that. He'll get our attention one way or the other.
You don't want that? You're not going to take time to get that weight off you? I'll get it off you.
Right.
I'll put you through some things to get rid of those 40 pounds that you got carrying around you. And now as a result of that, I feel better. I'm up. In our last conversation where we were talking about, bodies and marriage and all that kind of other stuff, like physically, I feel my body changing, where I've been like dormant, and it's like, ooh, hadn't felt this way at this time of the day and this afternoon in a while. It's like something starting to like regenerate in my body. And I'm like, all right, I got to pay attention to that. But for me, the business and the expectation and the potential of what we both know, who we are, and then the quiet stuff, right? A lot of people don't even know how successful we are.
Right.
We don't talk about it. Now, I don't talk about it because I don't like people in my business. Right. But there's some of it that you have to kind of talk about so people kind of know. Like, no, we're not just anybody. Like, we are that couple. Like, you don't see us in that. That's what I love about this. Like, it is my way of, I need for you people to see our collective power. Like they see mine, and then some people see yours, but they don't see ours, right? Ours gets dispersed in several different places. It gets dispersed in Fathers Incorporated. It gets dispersed in our children. It gets dispersed at church for you. It gets dispersed at other places for me that we feed and we do things with. But this energy that comes from us in this creation, in this creative space that we're in, is a space that if we would have never done this 20 years ago,
Right.
it had to take some seasoning for us to be able to get to where we are now, right? It took maturing on all the things that we talked about today, all the things that we've been talking about. That's why I love this seasoning conversation, because for me, it's not only a awareness, but it is a recognition of our evolution, right? An evolution that our children are in full view of. They're seeing it. And I am hoping that all of them will learn some things from us that we didn't learn from our parents.
What's the legacy that you want to leave?
Build. Like, don't look at what I leave you as something to use for you to start from. Think about what I leave you as something you can take so that you can continue to build on. We're not going back.
Right. You don't have to start from scratch like we did.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't look at whatever it is, money, influence. Don't try to start nothing new.
Right.
Build your own, so when it comes, you start from there and you keep moving forward. Like, I don't know, like there's this, and we got like 10 minutes.
Okay.
In this money space, you and I talked about this when we first started this conversation in terms of how we were taught about money. I'm not always confident in that I'm speaking to our children about money the way I should be, more intentionally. I think that most of what they know about money and understand about money, they have learned through modeling our behavior, but not really. Remember I asked you the other day, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Sarah Jakes. And I said, and this is from a whole nother perspective, but in line. And I said, I often wonder whether or not she is emulating her father or carrying her father forward. Meaning that, is she just mimicking what she's seen her father do over the years? Speaking, charisma, the word, those kinds of things. Or has she been baked in the things that made him who he was? And who Sarita is, not was, is. And is she building herself from that platform forward? Or is she just emulating what she's seeing? And I don't know if as adults, we think deeply enough about that as a culture for our children. I think other cultures do. Like, other cultures don't just model behavior, but they start feeding seeds of the foundations of that behavior very early in life, right? How to manage money, how to save money, putting property in their children's name, teaching them about stocks and bonds and investing money, teaching like they pull them into the activity of the money. Like, I don't think we do that as an African American culture.
Right. Well, part of that is you can't teach what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, the generation that we grew up in, again, we didn't talk about money with our parents.
Right.
So this is new for us, right? I know I've had conversations with all of the kids about money management and spending wisely and saving. And remember, we used to do Financial Fridays. Where I used to do those really long presentations.
Like we was a whole class.
Yeah. And you know, and then the really cool thing is, the both the schools that they go to offer finance classes, right? And I've always been a proponent of, nah, let's go ahead and get the personal finance class and the economics class, right? We're not going to turn those down. Like, there's no reason why either one of you should be struggling in this area when you got me in this household.
Right.
Right. So, but I just think that, and that was new for us because that's not what was modeled for us growing up.
Right.
Right. To your point, our parents were in survival mode.
Right.
They living paycheck to paycheck. And we've been blessed not to be in that, you know, so we had our journey to get where we are now. But we're blessed that, you know, we're able to send 2 boys to school, right? And not lose sleep at night over it.
Right.
Right. So I think that we're breaking, first of all, I fully believe that we're breaking generational curses. We're definitely disrupting patterns that was in our past. And as a result of that, I'm pretty confident that all of our children will be wildly successful. And they will absolutely be successful financially. And I think they've been all equipped to handle money the right way. And so I look forward to just seeing like who they're going to become.
Yeah. Right.
And so, and then, you know, there's other space. So I didn't go through any of these questions.
That's all right. We'll come back.
Like literally.
I think this was the foundation of this conversation, and then we can come back.
Yeah.
We'll do a part 2, y'all.
Yeah. And so we can talk about,
We'll do a part
so
2.
when we come back and do the part 2, we'll talk about what it looks like to have late career goals.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's important, because I often hear this in church where people think that, you know, they've reached a certain age and they're just like, there's nothing else. Like, I've retired or I'm going to retire. And they're literally trying to redefine, like, who am I now outside of
Right.
being mom and dad? Who am I outside of being, you know, the supervisor, you know, working for the state?
Right.
So we'll talk about that. And then retirement planning, right? That's, it's, you know, and I won't say former financial advisor, because although I am not officially in the field, I'd never stop advising. Like, I'm always helping somebody with some financial wisdom. And so retirement planning, like, what does that look like? And are you prepared for it?
Right.
And if you're not, how can you shift so that you don't go into your retirement years on the streets?
Right.
Right. Because there are things that can be put in place, right? I love this one as it relates to relationship transparency and trust, right? I think that is one of the things that we've done well, right? There's been no mismanagement of money. There's no going behind each other's back making decisions. We always have conversations, and I think that's really important in a relationship. If you want, because money still remains the number one reason why people get divorced.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now there's usually an underlying reason, but the financial piece is the thing that people always, hang their hat on, right? And it's because, she's always out shopping or, secret bank accounts, right?
Yeah.
Secret properties and other, business names. And I think that you and I have been really good at being very transparent. We have, and here's another thing to talk about. Do you have a joint account or separate accounts? When is it appropriate to have separate accounts versus, and how many accounts do you have? Like I've had people ask that, like, do I have just the one account? Do we just put everything in there? Do we need to separate out? Do I need to have my own spending account and his? And when do we come together to make a big financial decision, right? And so that's certainly a topic. I think that'll be a real hot topic because even as you go into your seasoned years, particularly as you are shifting lifestyle,
Right.
you now also have to start thinking about what's the money going to look like.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what are some of those shifts that we have to make so that, you still live nicely.
Right.
Right. But there's just going to be some things that are going to change. What are those changes going to be? And how do you make those decisions? How do you navigate that conversation?
Right.
Money meetings you had down here. How often are people meeting about money? Right. And this I feel like the seasoned folks might already they may already have how they handle it in place. But if there's some younger folks listening in, this is going to be some good stuff. Right. To help them move forward. We talked a little bit about legacy and impact. Right. So what is the legacy that we want to leave as it relates to the finances, running a business?
Yeah.
Chasing, your what is it? The 3 P's. The purpose, the purpose,
Passion, purpose, position.
Right. So, because that's legacy too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just about how much I can leave for you in a trust or a will, but what can I instill inside of you so that even if I'd left you at ground zero, you could still be successful.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The whole notion of, leaving an inheritance for your children's children. It's kind of like, I'm thinking about Nevaeh, Max, and Nyla.
Yep.
Like, that's why I'm not comfortable. Because I haven't gotten there yet.
Gotcha. Yep.
And, I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
Like, they need to be good.
Yep.
Too.
Yep.
We only got 3. It's like some people got 30.
Oh, thank God that's not our lot in life. I'm sure that they're all wonderful.
Yeah.
But 30's a lot. I feel like at 30, somebody's dropping a kid off and not coming back. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And so this work and grind is real. And as the old spiritual says, I ain't no ways tired. I'm not. It's just like, I said to somebody a couple of days ago, I said, I find my place to rest, I find myself to play, and I find myself to work. What I do know about myself is I never have a unproductive moment. If I'm asleep, I'm asleep. But if I'm up, I'm doing one of those 3 things.
Well, sleep is productive because that's
what I mean, right?
Replenishing your body.
Right. But even if I'm sitting there binging, like last night, I'm binging. It's because I need my mind to, and as long as I got it filled.
Well, you know what the interesting thing though about the binging, because like I told you this morning, I was watching a podcast, and even in that moment, I'm thinking of things that I can create based on what I was listening to.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm gleaning and saying, you know what? That's really important for people to know.
Right.
And I got to make sure that I put something together so that when I do my teachings, that I'm training people to I need you to pay attention to this.
Right. Yeah. I was telling somebody, me and Javin was talking. And I was like, yeah, I said, I just finished watching. No, it's Shawnee and I. And she had asked me, had I ever watched, it's a black show. I thought it was a Tyler Perry joint, but she said it wasn't a Tyler Perry joint. Not The Residents. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the name, but it's a thriller. It's one of those thrillers. It's an all black cast. It's a thriller. And I was saying, yeah, I said I just finished watching all of Scandal, and I said, and now I'm finally into the 4th season of House of Cards. I said, but I'm finding myself being extremely intrigued by shows that stimulate my strategic mind because of the twists and turns and like being 3 steps in front of the next person, anticipating what somebody else is going to do, orchestrating something now that's going to anticipate. I'm like, it has become important for me to think about my life in that way.
You know, it's interesting because as you're saying that, good money management is like that, being
Strategically thinking
right?
about
Thinking ahead, right? So the wealthy have figured out the strategies. Like they know the strategies. Right. And so this is why for them, what do we call it? A threshold, a bank account threshold might be 10 million. And that is like, whoa, we got to reset. We got to build. We got to rebuild again because we're only at 10 million. We're only at 5 million in the bank account. Right. Because they've been strategic. Right. And so they know that it's not just about how much you're earning, but it's really how much you're keeping. Right.
Yeah.
And so an understanding and implementing strategies like I hear people talk all the time about, the wealthy not paying taxes.
Right.
Yeah, I want to be in that. I'm okay with that. Right. Yeah. And here's why. Because they're not breaking the laws.
Right.
They're just aware of them. And they're taking advantage of what is available, pretty much everyone. Right? But everyone doesn't know how to utilize it to their advantage. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to turn it back over to you so you can close us out.
All right. Part 2 is coming. We're going to bring you part 2. This conversation about money, I'm sure, even of those things that you talked about us having to come back and talk about, those things could probably take us into a part 3 and part 4 when it comes to money. But there's so many other conversations we have to have. But to all of our seasoned conversation watchers, thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. From myself and my sweet wife, Tracy. Have a great week. Be safe. God bless. Be safe.
Thank you for joining me for today's seasoned conversation. Remember, every step we take shapes the legacy we leave. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone else navigating their own seasoned journey. To learn more and to become part of our growing community, visit us at theseasoncollective.com. Until next time, stay seasoned, stay purposeful, and remember, it's never too late to care deeply, to live boldly, and to rewrite your story.